Today I'm going to show you a fairly easy way of completing the square. As per usual, if this video is helpful, click the like button, subscribe, and share the video so that somebody else might also be, or so that this video can also help somebody else. That being said, let's get straight into the video. We're going to three things we need to remember. The very first thing is that before we start, the coefficient of the first term should always be 1. Second thing is we first going to the first step that we're going to do is to convert from standard form to vertex form. And then the third thing that we're going to do is we're going to set the equation to 0, and then we're going to solve for x. So again, coefficient of x squared must always be 1. Then we're going to convert from standard form to vertex form, and then we're going to set the equation to 0 and solve for x. It's easy as that. Okay, so we've got our equation here. F of x is equal to x squared plus 4x minus 5. The first thing that we do is we write out our equation again, but now we leave a space next to our middle term, and we write our last term down. We left a space here, but now we need to fill the space. How do we fill the space? We use this right here. B over 2 squared. Where do we get B? We get B right there. So let's fill that space. 4 over 2 squared, and that would be equal to 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 2 squared is equal to 4. So let's fill that space. Now we've filled that space, we've added the 4, but then we've changed the equation. And we actually want to, and it shouldn't be changed because then it's mathematically incorrect. So because we added the 4, we just subtract the 4 again. Now we're going to simplify. X squared plus 4x plus 4 minus 9. Now we're going to work with these three terms here. And we want to convert that into this form right here. How do we do that? We use x plus b over 2 all squared. So we simply substitute b again. B will be your middle term, which will be 4 over 2, and that's squared. And that would be equal to x plus 4 divided by 2 is 2 squared. And we write that here. And that's that. So the very first thing that we did, we wrote our equation again. We left the space, and now we fill the space. We fill the space with b divided by 2 squared, and then we write that answer here in that space. But because we added something, then we subtract the same thing again, just to keep the equation the same. Then we work with the first three terms, and we get it into this form by using x plus b over 2 all squared. And now the last thing we do is we simply solve for x. We solve for x by putting f of x equal to 0. And therefore already done that, and I simply solve. So I have x plus 2 squared equal to 9. I took that 9 over, but now I want to get rid of this square here. So I take the square root of x plus 2 squared equal to plus or minus. And this is very important that we write plus or minus here. I'll explain to you now in a sec. Square root of 9. Why do I have the square root of 9 on this side? If we square on the left hand side, we need to square on the right hand side. Why do I have the plus or minus? Because plus 3 multiplied by plus 3 would give me 9, and negative 3 multiplied by negative 3 would also give me 9. So thus, the square root of 9 can have two answers. That's why we have a plus and a minus. Now we continue to solve. X plus 2, because we're getting rid of that, plus or minus 3. And now x can have two answers. X can be equal to -2 plus 3, or x can be equal to -2. I simply took that 2 over, minus 3. So x can be equal to 1, or x can be equal to -5. And that's how we do it. Let's quickly look at another example. Remember, the first thing we're going to do, or the first thing that we need to remember, is that the coefficient of x must be 1, but we'll get to that now. Second thing is standard form to vertex form. Third thing is that we need to set the equation to 0 and solve for x. In this case, my coefficient isn't 1. So what do? I can take the first two coefficients and I can take the first two terms and get the common factor out of that. Common factor would be 5 here. So f of x would be equal to 5. I'm taking the 5 out, and what's left? X squared. If I take 5 out of -40, I get -8x plus 7. Right, so now we're going to convert from standard form to vertex form. That would be equal to, I keep my 5 there, I write my x squared minus 8x, and remember we're going to leave that space there now, plus 7. We left the space, now we want to fill the space. How are we going to fill the space? Remember, b over 2 squared. What's b? b is the coefficient of my middle term, so that would be minus 8 over 2 squared, and my answer would be -8 divided by 2 is -4. -4 squared is plus 16. So if we add 16 here, I want to subtract 16 there. Now we're going to simplify. 5x squared minus 8x plus 16, and plus 7 minus 16 would give me -9. And now I can work with my middle three terms and turn it into x plus b over 2 squared. X plus, what is b? b is always the middle coefficient, -8 over 2, and I keep that within brackets, and I make another bracket. So we'll have x minus 8 divided by 2 is -4, and then that positive multiplied by that negative would give me -4 squared. Oops. And there is my answer. X -4 squared minus 9. We've converted from standard form to vertex form. Next step is to set all of this to 0 and then solve for x. Right, let's solve for x. So that would be 5x minus 4 squared minus 9 would be equal to 0. 5x minus 4 squared equal to, I can take that 9 over, and then it becomes a positive. Now I need to get rid of this 5 here. So x minus 4 squared equal to 9 over 5. Next step, I need to get rid of the square. X minus 4 square equal to, remember, plus or minus the square root of whatever on the right hand side. X minus 4 equal to plus or minus, and if it's a fraction, or if it won't give you a perfect square, you can just leave it in third form. So 9 divided by 5, and remember it's plus or minus 9 divided by 5. So x can be equal to 4, because I'm going to take that 4 over, plus the square root of 9 over 5, or x can be equal to 4 plus, oh, oops, remember plus and minus, 4 minus the square root of 9 over 5. And that is how you complete the square and solve for x by completing the square. I hope you learned something from the video. If you learned something from the video, don't be shy to share. Don't be shy to like. And I'm out.